Hi, everyone. This is ESPN alum Bob Picozzi, and you are locked in to Locked Up Sports.
Well, it's week 10 in the NFL. Got underway on Thursday night with a great game, a wild game. There was a lot going on in that game, I should say. It was a great game. Ton of offense in the second half, ton of offense in the fourth quarter. But it kind of got, the thunder got taken a little bit away with the 2-point conversion that the NFL officials blew the call on with the Bengals. And there's been a lot of that going around. There's always a lot of missed calls in the NFL. It just is. There's a lot going on in the play. I'm not saying that there should be as many missed calls. They shouldn't miss calls like they did on Thursday night. But because there were two blatant calls, a holding and a hands to the face or a roughing the passer against Baltimore that would have given the Bengals another shot at the 2-point conversion. But either way, a 35-34 win for the Ravens. Not much defense being played. A great game by the quarterbacks. A great comeback by the Ravens. And the Bengals, listen, they started 0-3. There's a reason why teams who start 0-3 don't make the playoffs generally. And it's because the hole they dig for themselves is just too big. When you're 0-3, when you start 0-3, it doesn't give you really much wiggle room at all the rest of the season. And there's a long way to go after 3 games. So Baltimore improves to 7-3. Cincinnati 4-6. I've been saying Baltimore is the best team in the NFL for a while now, a bunch of weeks. But with that defense, I mean, they're giving up a ton of points. And the same goes for Cincinnati. They're never going to come back and make the playoffs from starting 0-3 because of their defense. I mean, it makes for a great game. And these teams have played 2 great games, 2 classics this year. Both of them won by the Ravens. So I think, like I said, it was a great game. It was a snooze fest through the first half. It was 14-7 at half. Then right out of the gate in the second half, Cincinnati took the lead again. Extended their lead on a long run. It was 21-7, and the Ravens looked, dead. They got booed off the field. They went 3 and out after. So 21-7, Baltimore goes 3 and out, gives the ball back to Cincinnati. The crowd's booing them off the field because the offense can't do anything. And then the Cincinnati turns the ball over on the fumble, and Lamar Jackson has one of the, his signature runs all the way down to the goal line, and they score in the next play. And all of a sudden, it's 21-14, and the Ravens are right back in it. They get another score. They end up taking the lead, and then it's just back and forth. The Ravens scored on their last 4 possessions of the game. The last 4 times they had the ball, touchdowns. And if you're a defense if you're Cincinnati, you can't do that. That's why they had to go for 2, because they couldn't risk giving Lamar Jackson the ball back. And if he got it first in overtime, it was going to be over because they couldn't stop him. And the same goes for the Ravens on the other end. So it basically, it came down to the 2-point conversion. The refs blew the call. They blew the play because there were 2 missed calls. The Ravens ended up stopping on an incomplete pass, and that was that. So it starts off the week 10 starts off with an excellent game to watch, entertaining if nothing else. 35-34, Ravens 7-3, Bengals go from what could have possibly been 5-5 to 4-6, and that's a big difference. Big difference between 5-5 and 4-6. So the Bengals will probably end up missing out on the playoffs. The Ravens are going to the playoffs. They're probably going to win that division. It's either going to be them or Pittsburgh. And they're going to need to figure out this defense. Joe Burrow in a losing effort, 34-56, 428 yards and 4 touchdowns, and he lost the game. They had 500 yards of offense. Jamar Chase, 11 receptions for 264 and 3 touchdowns. 264, 3 touchdowns in a losing effort. So, listen, the defense, you're not going to beat good teams playing defense like that if you're the Ravens. So they're going to have to figure it out, see if they can get it worked out. Their offense is as good as anybody's in the league. But when you're giving up, when you're letting the receiver have 11 for 264 and you letting Joe Burrow throw for nearly 500 yards, 4 touchdowns. Thank God their quarterback, Lamar Jackson, threw for 25 for 33, 290 and 4 touchdowns. He threw for almost 200 yards in the fourth quarter, 3 touchdowns. Derrick Henry, the running game is not great. Derrick Henry's getting old now. He went for 16 and 68 with a touchdown. So it's basically all Lamar Jackson. It's the Lamar Jackson show. And he's on, he's right there in the MVP race, looking to win his second MVP, and he might do it. But this defense for the Ravens is going to end up letting them down. And it's why I no longer think they're the best team in the NFL. I think they might have the best offense, but they are not the best team. I think the Lions they probably surpassed them, and the Chiefs. Chiefs are 8-0, don't forget. But I think the Lions might be a little bit better, but we'll get to that and everything. So the local teams here, the Giants, of course, are the early morning in Munich. Just a terrible game. The NFL sending over the two of their worst. The Panthers and the Giants, both teams are 2-7. Both teams, it's been not a good year. The Giants, we expected it not to be a good year, but I mean, this has been a little much. And the Panthers got the Saints coach fired last week after beating up on the Saints. And I said earlier this week, I said, watch out if you're Brian Daboll, because it's not looking good, right? It hasn't looked good all year. And I get it. You're gonna have to start over with the quarterback. A lot of times they want to just, I know the Giants probably want to keep some consistency since they've just been switching coaches like they were the Jets. But Brian Daboll has not been, the team looks undisciplined. They have bad penalties. They're not ready to play some of these games. They're losing games that they should win. And they're getting booed off the field week after week by their home fans. They're yet to win a game at MetLife Stadium. And now if they go overseas and they a showcase game Sunday morning and they lose to the Panthers, it's not a good look. And I could, the Panthers now, that's what they're doing. They're going around getting coaches fired because they're so bad. If they beat you, it's not a good look. And the Giants should win this game. They're a better team. Panthers are not a good team. They're 2-7 for a reason, but so are the Giants. Giants are a better team. They should win. They're a favorite. We'll see how they do, because it definitely doesn't mean they're going to win. Giants don't score points. The offense is anemic. The defense, the secondary can't cover anybody. They miss tackles all over the place. Their field goal kicker stinks. They stink. But, they're playing a team that might be one of the few teams in the league that might be worse. And, what a disaster for the NFL sending over this game, huh? Whew. That's rough. So, Giants 9:30 Sunday morning. Jets are on the late game, 4 o'clock in Arizona. Huge game for the Jets. It's now basically they're all huge games now, right? It's do or die every week. Jets are 3-6. They're still on the outer side looking in. You could be second place in that division, which they are, but the AFC East is not a good division. And the Jets are not a good football team. They're favored in Arizona, which is weird. They're favored on the road, 3-6. Arizona's a good team. Arizona coming off a win against the Bears. This is an important game for them. And they're more in the playoff conversation than the Jets are. But the Jets have more talent. If they could ever get it going, I mean, who knows? This Jets team is just it's just an enigma, because they have so much talent, and they just play down to their talent, down to the opponent every single week. And then they make a big mistake and they lose the game. Now they're coming off a win against the Texans team that was banged up on a short week on the road. Listen, road teams don't win Thursday night games very often. If you go back and you look at the history of the Thursday night game, the teams don't win those games on the road. It's tough. It's tough after a short week. Football is meant to be played once a week. You're asking a team to install a game plan, travel, get all set up at the hotel, and practice and do everything in 3 days. On top of that, have their body recover from just playing an NFL game on Sunday. It's hard to do. It's hard to win games on the road on Thursday night on short weeks. But either way, like I said, it's a win. You don't give back wins in the NFL. The Jets aren't giving back this one. Now they got to go to Arizona, across the country. Now they have a long week, right? They're 10 days without playing. Let's see if they could get it together. They got the new coach. Arizona's not a bad team. The quarterback can run. The Jets are a little banged up, okay? They obviously got rid of their receiver to Pittsburgh, Mike Williams. They're banged up on the offensive line. Rodgers has been up and down at best. There's flashes of the brilliance of Aaron Rodgers, and then there's just head-scratching moments with Aaron Rodgers. Some days he looks like he's getting old. He got old. Some days he looks like he did 5-6 years ago. So you never know what you're going to get. Are you going to get average Rodgers or are you going to get Aaron Rodgers? And we won't know until probably, mid-first quarter. So the Jets, and I don't think the Jets are in the playoffs. I don't think the Jets are making the playoffs. It would take a lot for them to make the playoffs. They're basically going to have to, they have one loss to play with. And that would put them at 10-7 if they lose one more game the rest of the way. But who's to say the Jets are the team that other teams are looking to play? When other teams see the Jets on the schedule, it's, that's a win. So to think that they're going to just run the table or something like that, I don't see it. Elsewhere around the league, there's some decent games. Nothing crazy. You got the Bears and the Patriots. The Bears are kind of falling apart. The offense is falling apart. They lost since they gave up the Hail Mary loss to the Redskins 2 weeks ago. Maybe they could get it back together. They're playing a terrible Patriots team, 2-7 in Chicago. That's a must-win for the Bears if they want to be relevant at all the rest of the year. Colts and Bills. Bills 7-2 are a tough team. They're a good team. The Colts are starting Joe Flacco. And listen, Joe Flacco, he didn't play well last week, but Joe Flacco these last couple of years has come off the couch and he's brought teams into the playoffs, or he's played well for teams at least. Joe, you know what you're getting with Joe Flacco. You're getting a solid quarterback, but an older quarterback, not mobile at all. If you could protect Joe Flacco and give him time in the pocket, he can make the plays. He can make the throws. Colts need a win here at 4-5 to stay relevant as well. Bills 7-2 as they're going to wrap up this division, the AFC East, in about 2-3 weeks. Vikings and the Jaguars. Listen, the Jaguars are not very good. The Vikings are 6-2. They've been playing well ever since they blew out the Giants back in week 1. Is it a surprise? A bit of a surprise, but they've kept it going. They're now, 6-2, halfway through the season. Let's see. They should beat the Jaguars. They should improve to 7-2. Broncos 5-4. Broncos don't score enough points. They're playing in Kansas City, in Arrowhead against the 8-0 Chiefs. Fully expect the Chiefs to win this game rather easily. I know I said I thought they'd win rather easily against Tampa on Monday night, which they didn't. Took an overtime win. But the Broncos don't score points. There are some teams in this league, like the two of them play here, the Giants, the Jets, the Broncos. They just don't score points. Now, the Broncos have been able to do it with a good defense. They've somehow pieced it together, and they have a 5-4 record, and they're in it. But I don't see them beating the Chiefs. Not in Arrowhead, not at 8-0. I know the Chiefs are banged up, and they played a tight game on Monday night, and it's a short week. I fully expect the Chiefs to take care of business there. 1 o'clock on Sunday at Arrowhead. Falcons and Saints. Saints, of course, with the new coach. Falcons 6-3. Surprising 6-3. It's a big rivalry game. This is going to be my upset of the week. I'm going to pick the Saints to beat the Falcons. The 2-7 Saints to beat the 6-3 Falcons. The Saints are better than 2-7. It kind of just all fell apart. They fired the coach. You get a little uplift, They fire the coach. They bring a new guy in. People start kind of looking around going, if he could get fired, anybody could get fired type of situation. I'm picking the Saints to win this game over the Falcons Sunday at 1 o'clock in New Orleans. It's a home game. And then you got an interesting game, the 4-4 Niners against the 4-5 Bucks. Now, the Bucks played Kansas City tough. They played them right to the end. I can't believe they didn't go for 2 and try and win the game right there. The fact that Todd Bowles has said, the wet field. And listen, you're not stopping Patrick Mahomes. You have a chance to win the game. They're not going to stop him and win it in overtime. So if you could take the game and boil it down to one play, get 3 yards, If we get 3 yards, we win. If we don't, we lose. I don't understand how you can't go for it. Forget about the wet field. That's a cop-out. Todd Bowles is just proven time and time again that he just is clueless. He's a coordinator. He's one of these guys that he's a coordinator. He's not a head coach. And for them to not put the ball in their quarterback's hands and say, go win us this game, go beat the undefeated Chiefs, get me 3 yards, it's a travesty. So they lose that game. They're 4-5. They're right in it. The Bucs now going to enter a tougher part of the schedule. The Niners get McCaffrey back. How effective will he be? Probably pretty effective because Christian McCaffrey's a Hall of Famer. But he is coming back first week back. They're 4-4. They're looking now to hit the ground running. Niners were supposed to be a big team this year. Now they're 500 halfway through the season. And this is going to be a game where the winner could propel the winner to go and make the playoffs. The loser could kind of fall apart and miss the playoffs. Niners and Bucs, 1 o'clock Sunday from Tampa. Now, the game of the week here is going to be Pittsburgh, 6-2, at the Commanders in Washington, 7-2. It's going to be a wild scene in Washington. They love this team. They love the quarterback. He's basically played mistake-free. He's done everything right. He's got the Commanders, who have been terrible for a long time, at 7-2 and favorites in the NFC East. And I think they're going to win the NFC East. Steelers 6-2, Commanders in Washington. That's going to be a must watch right there. I think that's the game of the day. And I think the Commanders will win. Because I think the fact that they're playing the game at home really helps out. I think that really helps them out. They're going to get big juice from the fans, a big lift. The Steelers are going to be ready to play. You know they will be. They always are with Tomlin. The Steelers, I think, are playing a little bit above their head. And I think the Commanders beat them, and they go to 8-2. And I think they're going to win the division. Titans 2-6 at the Chargers 5-3. Chargers have played well. They're kind of a sneaky 5-3. You don't really hear much about them. Harbaugh has the team winning. The defense is playing unbelievable. They only let up like 12 or 15 points a game. They're playing a bad Titans team. Expect the Chargers to go to 6-3 and really you're going to start hearing people talk about the Chargers because you really haven't heard it. They're under the radar at 5-3. They're going to get to 6-3, and then they're going to start to make some noise. And you're going to hear from the Chargers as they're making a beeline for the playoffs here. That is the 4 o'clock game in San Diego. Expect the Chargers to beat the Titans and advance to 6-3. And then, like we said, we got the Jets and the Cardinals. It's a must-win. Big game for both teams. I think this is the best 4 o'clock game going. 4:25. So it is the game of the week. I think it's a Fox game, right? No, it's CBS. So Jets at the Cardinals. Jets got to win. That's it. They're 3-6. They're still a talented team, but if they don't win, because who knows? They're 1.5 favorites. So they're obviously Vegas thinks they're more talented than the Cardinals. But we've seen this book 100 times with the Jets, and they just disappoint you every time. Eagles Cowboys is your other 4:25 game, and listen, the Cowboys aren't good. Cowboys are 3-5. The Eagles are going to beat them. In Dallas, you're going to start to see heads roll in Dallas. They're going to start talking about firing the coach. They're already talking about Dak's contract and what can we do? How do we get out of it? You can't get out of it. It's going to be hampering you now for as long as he's on this team. I'm not saying he's not a good player. He's not a good quarterback. He is a good quarterback. The team itself is not very good. They never gelled together. They're 3-5. They're hanging by a thread, and the Eagles should cut the last string of that thread this week and put them to 3-6 with a win on the road in Dallas, in Jerry World. And it's the Eagles and the Commanders in the NFC East. And then it's, Giants and Cowboys are way back. Sunday night is the Lions, the 7-1 Lions, maybe the best team in the NFL, up against the 6-3 Texans. Texans coming off a loss to the Jets. They've had 10 days now to prepare. They're home. You got the Lions coming in. It should be a raucous scene in Houston. I don't think they win. I think the Lions come in there and they steamroll the Texans. I could see them winning by 2 touchdowns. The Lions are just, everything's going right. They got a good defense. They got a run game. They got a quarterback. They're putting up a ton of points. Take the Lions in a pretty lopsided game over the Texans. And then Monday night, It's the Rams hosting the Dolphins. Rams at 4-4, starting to believe Stafford is playing well. The Dolphins at 2-6. Now listen, the Dolphins are out of it. And once Tua went down, the Dolphins basically season ended. They brought Tua back. The last 2 games they played well. It's a totally different team with Tua. They played better, not good enough to win. And I don't think they're going to be good enough to go into LA and beat the Rams, who are really feeling themselves now, playing better football. They're 4-4. They think they're on the uptick. So that's your Monday night game right there. One Monday night game this week. So that's week 10. That's your quick preview for week 10. Listen, with the Giants, you're looking to save your coach's job. They should win. They should win rather easily. I'm sure they won't. They might win, but I'm sure it won't be easy. Nothing comes easy for this Giants team. Same goes for the Jets. They're a better team. Jets still, their season's on the cusp here. It's on the brink. It's do or die. Every week you're going to be hearing that. And I don't think the Jets are good enough to basically run the table here at all. So we'll see how it goes. That's your week 10 in the NFL. Enjoy it, everybody. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the college games on today. Enjoy the football tomorrow. We will be back with you on Wednesday to talk. I'm sorry, not Wednesday, Thursday. We're going to have Dexter Henry here from SNY, New York Post, to talk some Knicks as we kind of transition and we talk some hockey and some basketball. Knicks, I got a lot to say about the Knicks, but you'll hear that on Thursday. So that does it for us here. If you have any questions, if you want to email the show, don't forget you can email us anytime. LockedUpSportsShow@gmail.com. LockedUpSportsShow@gmail.com. You have any questions, we'll read them on the show. We'll answer them for you. Or you can always visit our website at lockedupsports.net, lockedupsports.net. And, of course, anywhere you get your podcast and also on YouTube. So leave us a review, subscribe, write us a question, whatever you got to do. We'll talk to you later this week. I'm Bob Walters from the Brian Gunzel Studios. See ya.